Gigi, for Grandma.
When you found her, amidst the perpetual clamor of ball busting and laughter that is her 7 boys.
And Aunt Deb.
You were left to wonder why, if she is so quiet.
They are so damn loud.
Because, as I later learned from her,
your children serve as a monument to your character. How they treat themselves, others, and each other says more about you than you ever could.
But don't confuse her for the strong, silent type, Grandma. Now that you are an ancestor,
we ask your permission to speak for you. Grandma always smelt like the calm after a Myrtle Beach hurricane, made of butter beans and back roads full of tradition, baptized in blood, sweat, and fears, unwashed away in the moonshine swill. But Grandma still, and stay still prayed up. Always in the front pew, never in the back of the bus.
Lived her own love story up and down the hallways of the Appalachian Mountains and the Atlantic Ocean. Sent a handful of kids to war, be it Vietnam,
or North Philly streets,
or boxing rings,
or marriage rings.
A testimony to the kind of upbringing that has outlived her, that has seen her through all the way to the credits.
A life of service on her feet that deserves a standing ovation almost as much as it desires to take a seat. The family nurse, dishing miracles by the meal to the sick. Type of cooking you get in line for.
Could teach Gordon Ramsay a few tricks.
Could make a multitude out of scratch.
You ever heard the one about
the parable of Priscilla? 5 loaves and 2 fish. Grandma could break bread out of thin air.
Even from her walker, later wheelchair, she let her resume speak for itself in laughter.
Even in mama jokes, but great-grandmama
and her sweet potato pie
was no joke.
Her laugh was a signature of approval from a life well worked and even weller lived.
But see, my grandma, my sign, got so gangster sometimes she put the double G in gauze and Gemini.
What he's trying to say is her smile was worth fighting for. So much so stand up became the family pastime.
But if she woke up on the wrong side of Sunday, you might meet your maker for the last time.
The type of saint that wouldn't hesitate to grab an extension cord.
To keep the light on.
The type of saint that would send you for your own switch.
To cut the light on.
Could have a church fan flapping like a hummingbird wing. Raise your hand if my grandma taught you why the caged bird sings.
She sang 'cause she fly, but don't let that church hat fool you. Her floss is all grind and grace. The wife of
take all you eat, but eat all you take.
She lived through sharecropping, the Great Migration, and Ronald Reagan, JBM move, and Philly's first black mayor, 9/11, grandpa's cancer, the first black president, 13 great-grandchildren later.
It makes her more than just a grandmother.
She was history in the making. Not an author, a preacher, or a writer. She a boy you better write till you got arthritis.
She was more than a short story, more like a novel. She was a gospel. On to her next chapter.
So all that's left to say is,
say hi to Grandpa.
Grandma.